Gibe Karole is my name, Chibirige. I am the director of GK Sport Academy in Uganda, a former Uganda Cranes football player. And I was lucky that I had the opportunity to play for some of the best football clubs in Uganda, like Sports Club Villa, KCC, Express FC, Police FC, and Miracle Center. And I also had that unique opportunity to progress my career to the international stage when I got the opportunity by one of the African greats in South Africa, Mr. Jomo Sono, when I signed for Jomo Cosmos Football Club. Yeah, I think governance in Uganda, when it comes to football, has evolved from time to time. And I'll tell you that from our generation, football gave priority to all stakeholders. And that is the reason why you saw that the competitions were very strong. The leadership in the game was prioritizing football over personal benefits. And you realize that those days, the stadiums actually attracted masses of people, and football created so many opportunities because when it came to, for example, deciding or making appointments in the different positions that were going to influence football, there was a very equal, or there was a very leveled playing field. And people got recruited in different positions because they deserved it, because they merited it. And when you look at the constitution, the football constitution those days, it actually gave way for majority stakeholders like players or football administrators that had been in the game for a very long time. They played a role in deciding the future of football. And this is the reason why you can see that the ex-international, it was called ex-IFA. Ex-IFA as a body was very, very crucial in the FIFA assembly at the time to make sure that there is controlled measures when making decisions on the hierarchy of football management. And one of the things that those ex-internationals did was to constantly monitor and appreciate the strengths that each individual had that had been playing a role in football development and football promotion. And they constantly made those appointments basing on the strengths of an individual. And it was less of that personal driven goal to make a decision simply because of patronage or simply because of prejudice, where someone is making a decision today because he's expecting to make a business with a certain company, or he's making an appointment to executive committee simply because he has a colleague that he shares past experiences with in school or something. And this is why there is a very huge difference in football governance in Uganda in the past in comparison to the way football is governed today. And I will tell you that if you want to compare the impact of football 20, 30 years ago when we had the opportunity to play football, you will see that from the local communities, yeah, there existed so many, so many teams that gave opportunities to youngsters, and it is from these communities that we got scouted. For example, when you look at a community like Mulago, it produced so many players, so many players, and because the right people were in the right positions, Uganda would have never seen players like Majidu Musi. They would have never seen players like Issa Sekalie. All these players were a crop of players that were in that community in Mulago. And it took a very good keen eye of decision makers to get scouted into the football market, but they were identified when they're still young. So that also shows you that this quality of players that went on to play for the national team, and seeing Majidu Musi going on to play professional football in France, obviously promoting the country, and when you look at Sports Club Villa, a club that was finalist in the Africa Champions League and the CAF Cup consistently in 2 consecutive years, yeah, you realize that the stadiums were always full. And it didn't matter if it was an Express fan or KCC fan, they came there to also be able to test that, that quality football in Nachivuwa Stadium. And this shows you that when we have the right people in the right positions and putting football first, then the country will benefit from all the benefits of football. Starting from a retailer shop in the stadium to the revenue that is coming into the stadium through tickets. Then obviously you look at that engagement of the stakeholders like the fans to be able to come and consume a good product. So I think the federation in those years, they really did an amazing job. They appointed the right coaches that had experience, that had a very good background in the game of football. They made sure that they made decisions to summon the right players. They gave opportunities to so many players from different clubs. I'll tell you that apart from the strong clubs like Sports Club Villa, KCC, Express FC, we also had players that were being summoned from clubs like Police FC, Airlines FC, and Zambia FC. And now that's the difference, because in Zambia, for example, the fans got to see a very athletic talent like Mahmoud Katerega, Ali Kayongo was from Zambia, then Enoch Chembe was from Zambia. In Airlines, you had players like Wampamba, of course, came from Airlines. Then, of course, you had a few other clubs. Kofi also, it was closer to the Big Four. But there are so many players that came from a club like Kofi. Richard Mugalu came from there. You had players like Matthias Kawesa, Ibrahim Buembo. So that shows you that when a country has good governance, I mean, football can benefit in so many other areas. It can attract a pool of talented football players that can go on not only to represent the country, but these talents have that potential to attract forex from abroad once these players are scouted and they definitely join the elite leagues. Yeah.
Okay, good. Go.
Yeah, I think football governance today in Uganda, you can see that there's a very big difference from the time that we were enjoying so many benefits in the game, and different people that played a role in football had that merited access to football. So the challenges today is, I think, we have people that have tried to gain and get into positions of football leadership with an intention to benefit from football instead of focusing on doing the job that has gotten them into that office. And when you look at our executive committees that are leading football, you will see that there is, it lacks that inclusiveness. because you will realize that the main stockholders, like the football clubs, the players, when we talk about the players, we are also referring to people that have brought the game to where the current administration has found it. And you realize the power of football and the power of the dream, where we all started from, and different administrations have been trying to pass on that, that torch to try to improve the game. But you will see that football has been affected in different ways because of having people that lack enough experience to add value to the beautiful game. Of course, looking at the impact of football in society, when you see the impact of a club like Sports Club Villa, a club that had more than 100,000 fans, when you go to Jinja, you will see that the stadiums will be full. You will see that economically, a Villa game in Jinja will definitely be beneficial from the restaurants to the hotels, because the fans will have to stay there for a night to be able to watch the game, fans that don't want to travel on a game day. But you will also see that full stadiums brought income to the country. On every league outing, league game outing, you will see that a small game like in Zambia versus Airline also brought revenue in terms of the gate collections. This detrimental side of the game shows that football decisions have not benefited the game itself in terms of making sure that there is effective management of football clubs, there is effective management of the resources that we have, effective management of the talent that we have. And when we talk about the talent, I mean, of course, people that have been part of football development, the past years where Uganda was successful, until this day. A good example is, I was talking about how leaders were appointed into positions of responsibility. You'll be surprised that today you could have found a coach like Paul Asule out of the game. And that also can be compared to some of our best coaches now that are out of the game, like Mike Mutebi. When you look at Mike Mutebi's success in local football, you'll be surprised that he's been out of work for 4 years. Reason being, nobody knows. But it is again, individuals not appreciating what football has contributed, and not recognizing that our youthful population today deserves people that understand their interests. It deserves people that know the power of football and the power of a dream, and how football can really, really transform and impact our communities, from, of course, ranging from getting these children off the streets, because when you look at how our resources have been managed, in our time, you can see that, because one of the things that a leader is supposed to do in football is to make sure that, our resources and assets are managed so well. And when I talk about assets, I mean our infrastructure assets like football stadiums. And of course, again, I talk about the talent that has brought the game to where you have found it. And when you look at that lack of inclusion and that lack of having the right people into the right positions, it can still contribute to the deterioration of the conditions of our facilities. And today, when you see that, we had Nachivuva Stadium, we had 4 pitches in Lugogo, we had, all these pitches, they basically engaged those children that were around Naguru there. You can see we had so many pitches around our area. There was a pitch in Clock Tower. There were so many pitches everywhere. So, but now I think we also have to give credit to FIFA because through the FIFA Forward program in trying to make sure that they empower these member associations by at least trying to make sure that annually there are certain funds that are directed towards our associations to promote the game, to develop the game, and to make decisions to benefit the game. But when you look at how our administration has fared over the years, people have been asking themselves, a country like Uganda that actually boasted of so many stadiums around the country, but if you have a leader that's been in the game for 12 years, and none of those facilities have been improved, and we are just looking at seeing one of our #1 teams going to play the international games abroad, I mean the Uganda Cranes, I think that shows that we have not done enough. It shows that the game has really plummeted into the doldrums. And I think compared to the time that we were playing football and the decisions that were made, putting football first, I think that there is a lot of work to do. And also, it surprises me that despite the state of football affairs and having so many people that have really contributed to football today, but they are nowhere in the game simply because of what I spoke about, making decisions for people to get into leadership based on patronage, based on prejudice, which is not helping the game at all. And it's not even helping our country, because football is supposed to be a vehicle for socio-economic development and improving our youth, which is in line with the national goals of the country. And having said that, I think we, as football lovers, as passionate people that have been part of the game, we still have to do a lot to see that we see changes. But of course, with a very rigid football constitution that keeps getting manipulated every single time, I think we have a long way to go. And I think this will really take a very huge action from different stakeholders to see that we try to fight and bring about these changes, so that the Ugandan young people, boys and girls, are not deprived of the privileges that they're supposed to enjoy, from the funding of government. We have to give credit to the government. The government has done a great job. When you look at the government funding every year, that is more than 20 billion to the Federation. And when you look at the FIFA Forward program that is injecting lots of funds into Ugandan, the Ugandan Association, which funds are supposed to be directed to developing the game, from improving the infrastructures to educating our talents, especially when we talk about educating our talents, I mean trying to improve the current crop of coaches, because you know that the game has been changing over the years for many years, and our coaches need now, in order for them to do a good job, they need to constantly try to go for refresher courses. Which refresher courses? They obviously need funding. And when you look at FIFA's Forward program, the money is coming, but I see a lot of my colleagues who want to get into coaching, and you can see one of the biggest challenges that they have is they cannot afford these courses. So we still have a long way to go. If we really, really want to try to emulate countries like South Africa, countries like Morocco, countries like Tunisia, Egypt, countries that are constantly developing players that go on to join the elite leagues, then there is so much that we need to do. We need to try to find a way to see that we put football first and try to stop the politicizing of the game, because in Uganda it has really reached at a height when you have a leader who is a member of parliament and actually being a husband to the third most powerful person in the country, the Speaker of Parliament, then you would not be surprised to see that the state of things today in Ugandan football is basically not so favorable. It's not a good working environment for people to make good decisions that are going to benefit football. Knowing the impact of football in our society, knowing that football creates jobs, knowing that football should be a vehicle to unite us and put our country first, to see that we can get our youths out of poverty and also reach out. Because one of the goals of FIFA is for the member associations to try to take the game to different rural areas, to different impoverished states, everywhere in schools. FIFA is not so much, obviously they really, really want us to develop the game to the highest standards that can be possibly matched. But at the same time, their number one main goal is to see that everybody of that specific country or member association can benefit from the fruits of football. Depending, for the boys and girls who love to play football, football should be accessed to them, whether in schools, whether in villages, whether in different communities, slums. So in any way, that is why FIFA is continuing to fund different competitions like beach soccer. But the impact of the funds and the funds that are supposed to be channeled into development, it has really, really been minimal, because there are so many young people. I was sad when I went to Bushenyi and I saw those youngsters. I passed so many fields, and you can hardly see someone kicking a football. But I'll tell you that FIFA has even gone on to now get into the schools. There's a new grant now that schools or our federation now will receive. Actually, it has received more than 60,000 balls, and there is going to be funding towards the development of school football and school competitions. But now, when you look at the criteria of selecting these schools, I think this should also be put into consideration. Now we have so many clubs in the central region, and football has not gone so much out of the different districts in the country. And now these are decisions that are supposed to be made by someone who has a very impartial position in terms of promoting football, developing football. But we find it a really big challenge. As I said, that the government has done a tremendous job. The government has provided us a very good environment for us to develop until where we are. But today, when you look at also some of the people that have worked so hard in the game and progressed their careers into elite football, I'll give you an example. There are so many. In America, we have, I think, about more than 40 coaches. Wilbur Musika is one of them. Patrick Kabuye is one of them. These are Ugandans that worked very hard. They have a very good football background, and they've really done so much for the promoting of the game in their capacities. But our youngsters can hardly benefit from the experiences and the knowledge that these people have accumulated in those competitive football environments. But again, locally, you also see other talents like David Oboer, not just him. We have talents also like, of course, Kasule Babadi is another one. We have also talents like Ibrahim Sekaja is abroad for a long time, for sure. If he saw that the state of things in Uganda are very smooth, I'm certain that he could have come back. And Mwesije is also fighting on his own. I think Mujib Kasule also, he's done a fantastic job sustaining his academy with no support. And there are so many different players, former players. Bekamboa also, I saw he has an academy somewhere. But majority of our talents that have the potential to even contribute on the grassroots, because remember, on the grassroots, you really need former players who basically have the practical knowledge and the theoretical knowledge to try to teach these youngsters those basics of learning, not just learning, but loving the game. And I think the current leadership, what they haven't really done is to appreciate the value of the former player. Because the value of the former player is an institutional memory to inspire the future generation. And also we haven't appreciated the fact that, some of us are here today. We are in this game because one former player made that decision. I'm in the game today because of that one decision that someone made to incorporate me or enroll me into his team. So that decision would have broken me if he didn't scout me, or that decision definitely with the impact that I've made in football, not just promoting talent, marketing talent, but also making sure that I promote the country in all the activities that I've been doing all the years that I've been, managing, marketing, and contracting different players in different countries. So, but again, I give credit to Leo Adra, who scouted me and made that decision to take me into his team. And again, this is credit to people being in positions and making those right decisions to benefit football. So I believe that we need to move to the direction where we give football the priority, try to have a lot of inclusiveness when it comes to not just former players. When I say former players, I mean boys and girls. Because when you look at the women competition, for example, the women league started as far as the times of when the late Dennis Oboa, may his soul rest in peace, when Dennis Oboa was the president of the federation. But today you can hardly see any of those talents. Of course, they finished playing football. And as I said, during our time when we are playing football, we are promoting the game and making a positive impact to our communities, but obviously by being part of the football development as players. But after we play, we still possess that knowledge, that rich football history, which now we can use to try to transfer this knowledge to the young ones. And I expected to see these young women being empowered, incorporated in football leadership roles as coaches. But this has not really been done. And you can see, I've been to so many symposiums, for example. I've been to so many retreats, but you will hardly see women participation. And I think this is not so good for football. I think this is another way to show that our girls that have been contributing to the game, that are pioneers of the game, have been discriminated. And it's not one of FIFA's goals to see that more focus should be given to to the boy child and neglecting the girl child. Because some of these girls have now become mothers, and they invested all their life in trying to demonstrate very good leadership qualities in promoting the game as players. And I believe that they should be given that chance to progress their careers into leadership roles. And again, as I mentioned, that as a country, we need to, as a country and as football stakeholders, we need to come together and try to look at these challenges and try to make sure that we cut out this over-politicizing of the game. At the same time, also, we need to make sure that we give priority to stakeholders, because when you look at also the state of clubs in our country, it is actually so worrying, because I was just telling you about the state in which Sports Club Villa was managed. And when you look at the incapacity of our clubs to look after these players' welfare, when you look at the quality of the players that we are producing today, it's sad to see that our national team still has players that have been in the national team the last decade with minimum contribution and also with little success in their specific roles.